Hey everybody, it's Marcus here with Thomas, and we got a guest named Michael here. This is Reform Weekly. Thomas, why don't you go ahead and take it away here?
Before we start, how about we talk to our guest Michael. Michael, tell us a little about yourself.
This is not a dating show, by the way.
Hey,
whenever we have guests, you always sound like it's a dating show.
We have to let the audience know who our guest is.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Fair enough.
Go ahead and put me on the spot. That's cool. That's cool. Well, I mean, not really much to tell. 20 years old.
Still wet behind the
pretty
ears,
much,
people.
Yeah, pretty much raised in a Pentecostal church.
I'm sorry, you can't be on the podcast anymore. This is your last episode.
That's fine. That's fine. Don't really have much experience with other churches other than a Baptist church I went to probably for like a year and a half.
What's your favorite color?
Yes.
No, that's a good one.
What's your social security number?
1.
All right, cool. That's all I need
That's
to know.
how old. But he's 20, and yet he has
He has
social
one.
security number of 1.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so
very impressive.
Michael, you don't know, we like to start our podcast off with something positive, something uplifting.
So we can get in the right mindset.
Yeah, and
you know?
our favorite. What would you describe Mr. Joel as?
An encourager.
Yes,
An
an
encourager.
So we
An
like
ear
to
tickler.
Let's start
Ear
off
tickler.
with something mind provoking that he has quoted, or he said, and this is from Mr. Osteen himself. Doesn't matter who likes you, who doesn't like you. All that matters is that God likes you. He accepts you. He approves of you. Yeah, that's it.
He approves of me. Huh.
I was gonna read more, but I think that just.
I feel like I've heard that
goes for it.
before. Joel Osteen is actually my sister's favorite pastor.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Prayers. I'll say this, and it's funny because my father-in-law was telling me that he had heard somewhere, and this will probably never happen, but I would love this. But he told me that he heard somewhere that Joel was stepping down from his church, and he jokingly said, maybe they'll offer you the job. And then I told him very quickly I would love that job, but I would have the place cleared out in like 3 weeks tops.
3 seconds. Because
yeah.
what would happen?
By the way, sin. Everybody's gone.
What would happen is you'd walk up with your Bible.
Yeah.
And then you would say, okay, open your Bibles to John 3, and then everyone would get really confused and leave. Also, he says later in that same interview, I believe that God breathed life into every person, and that every person is made in the image of God, and you have to accept them as they are on their journey. I'm not here to preach hate or push people down. Just a great guy all around.
You know what? He makes me feel good.
Makes me feel real good. Okay, so a couple things happened in the news this week. Probably the biggest thing is that R.C. Sproul died.
Very sad. RC, man, he probably shaped my theology as much or more than any theologian that I didn't know personally. This guy was a heavyweight in the Reform sect. I mean, this guy. I mean, if RC said it, then it's just outside of the canon of Scripture. Like, this guy just knew his stuff and did a lot for the kingdom of God. And my ministry actually reflects a lot of the theologies that he taught. And I honestly, going back and looking at some people's posts on social media, I had no idea he had written so many books.
Oh yeah, over a dozen.
Yeah, and I only have like 3 or 4, and so I'm just like ready to go break the bank and buy everything this man wrote. But just awesome guy, godly guy.
He lived to be 78. Sproul died Thursday, and at Altamont Springs, Florida Hospital. That's when his ministry announced it. He was hospitalized with severe respiratory problems that were complicated by chronic obstruction pulmonary disease and the flu. So, I mean, he was...
So, basically, the medical vernacular there is he was old, and it was time for him to go see Jesus.
Pretty much.
That's
hit
it.
hard.
Pretty much. He was very old. He had breathing problems for a while because he
did.
carried on, I think, like a tank of oxygen and preached for a while.
I had seen the man do an interview with oxygen in his nose, and I was just like, man, That is dedication. In fact, he has a quote. Somebody had quoted him, and I didn't know he said this, but he said, "I'll retire when you pry my cold, dead fingers off my Bible." And that's pretty much what happened. And I tell you what, I would love to go out like in the pulpit or something like that. That would be really cool. I don't ever plan to retire from preaching the gospel, and neither did RC. So that's really awesome. Pray for his family. And continue to pray for his ministry, because somebody has to step in and fill these gigantic spiritual shoes of R.C. Sproul.
Well, for those of you who don't know what R.C. founded, he founded a little ministry called Ligonier Ministries.
Ligonier, yeah.
Ligonier.
Yep.
And that's huge.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
a ginormous ministry.
In fact, they're one of the sponsors of the men's conference.
Yeah.
That you and I went to. Great ministry. They publish books. They have apps. Great ministry, and it was all founded and spearheaded by R.C. Sproul. And man, just a great guy. He never talked down to people. I constantly watch his interviews and his debates, and sometimes you can get guys that are really smart and they know it, and in debates they kind of forget their manners, but this guy never did. He never forgot that it was level at the cross, no matter how high your education is. And just a guy I aspire to be. I will never be nearly as smart or educated as him, but hey, one can dream, right?
All right, we're gonna move on to an important time of the year. As you know, both of you, it's Christmas time.
Yes, it is.
But more importantly than that, there's a war going on.
Is there?
A war on Christmas.
Oh,
Get your guns.
all right.
And
Get your candy canes.
happens every year. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about, with those dang liberal atheists and their misuse.
Wait, you're not talking about Happy Holidays?
Yes.
How dare you even speak it?
It's a terrible time this time of year when Christians are persecuted for their faith.
It is persecution.
I mean, I feel just as persecuted as people in Africa, as Christians in
absolutely.
Africa who get beheaded.
What's next? They start burning our churches. What's next?
I mean that's a logical step, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
First, you take away our Merry Christmas.
Happy Holidays. Let's set your church on fire. That's where they're coming from.
Yep.
And
I mean, it's an epidemic. Not only is it a pandemic, but it's an epidemic. It's all of the demics. It's all of them.
it's all of them.
All of them.
But want to know your guys' take on if you. It's been a little more died down this year than it has in past
it
years.
has. It's been a little quiet. Which my thought is maybe we're winning.
Maybe that. Maybe we've won. Maybe the war never happened.
Maybe now we can focus on Santa Claus being the focal point of the Christian Christmas
holiday. Yeah. So I want to know what you guys thought. Maybe what you've seen this year on the quote unquote war on Christmas. I know Fox still tries to keep it up. Sean Hannity, I know, has a huge segment about the war on Christmas.
Is it actually called that? Because I hope so.
Yes, the war on Christmas.
Oh, awesome,
yeah.
awesome. What other term would you use?
I remember when I was smaller, that's what people refer to as, they're taking the Christ out of Christmas.
Christmas crusades.
Oh my goodness! Hey, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in middle school, my teacher wrote on the board Xmas. And some kid was like,
right out
I was just about to say that.
I went home and I asked my parents, because the first time I saw it, and I was like, "What is Xmas?" And they're like, "Who did that to you?" And I'd just been molested. And I asked them, I was like, "Well, my teacher put on the board," and they're like, "Well, we're gonna have to talk to that teacher." And I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I asked my mom, and my mom, being very stable at the time, said, "Well, you see, it's like atheists and liberals, and they want to X out Christ. They want to take Christ out of Christmas."
It's like no Christmas. It's
Yeah.
like no Christ in Christmas. I mean, that's what it is, right?
And then when I grew up and became somewhat mature, I finally realized, oh wait, it's just an abbreviation for Christmas.
It literally is an abbreviation. In fact, it was used by early Christians to promote Christmas. So actually, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot here. but yeah, Xmas is just as Christmas-like as Christmas is. Do your research.
Have you guys seen anything else about the? Have you heard any war stories from the war on Christmas?
Let me tell you one here. I'm in a group of guys. It's actually a group of, a lot of them are pastors or somehow heavily involved in church ministry, and we have our own secret society on Facebook, and we can just hang loose and hold each other accountable, but say things that we could never say to our congregations or other pastors, without that kind of level of trust. Well, somebody posted a picture of And this is the sweetest picture I'd ever seen before, because it was little baby Jesus in a manger, and Santa Claus was kneeling by baby Jesus and praying, and he had his hat off. That's the important thing. His head was not covered, and he was praying as if to say, you know what? I know the reason for the season. Now, the big problem I have with this is, one, Santa was alive thousands of years after Christ. St. Nicholas could have never knelt at the manger scene. He was not. And to act like that Santa's giving Christmas back to Jesus, I think it's ridiculous to just put. Here's the thing. For me, it put Christ and at least Christ's birth and Santa on the same level, and it's not that at all. I think the Christians are doing, as we fight these big companies about happy holidays, I think we're doing a great job in and of ourselves about killing the idea of what actually Christmas is. I mean, that's just the truth.
Michael, do you think that we should hold Christmas on like a pedestal, like a Christian holiday, and defend it passionately, or do you think we should just consider it another holiday like Halloween or something?
Well, I mean, we shouldn't really consider it another day like Halloween because, that really doesn't correlate. But I also don't think we should defend it to a point where it's like, or we become like the Westboro Baptist Church. Because you can't start attacking people with your Christianity,
right,
and then expect them to be like, oh, you have a good point there.
Yeah.
Let me bow to your every whim.
I think if everybody, as the saying goes, minds their own landscape, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As my family and as people that I try to influence and care about, I will always try to make sure they know that Christ is the focal point of Christmas. But at the end of the day, we have to just come to the sad realization that Christmas has become just as much a pagan holiday as Halloween or anything like that. I mean, let's just be honest, because it's commercialized. It's something that non-Christians that they wait for Santa Claus to come. Even some Christians do. That's great. That's fine. I'm not judging anybody. But at the end of the day, we can't expect the world to bow to our churchly knee when they're like, hey, we're not Christians. We're not going to play by your Christian rules. Here's the deal. Hold Christmas in high esteem as a church, as a family, as a body of believers, and let the outsiders do what they want to with Christmas, and just know that here's the deal. This is what we do. We worship a false idol of what we think Christmas is. We do. And the world does the same thing. Christians do it. But at the end of the day, it's about Christ's birth. It's about the beginning of the hypostatic union of Christ being fully God and fully man. And you can't expect a lost person or a non-church member to understand that or even care about that. You just can't do it. It's no use. So am I saying let them take Christmas and hack it up and make it something it's not? No, but at the end of the day, are you honoring what Christmas is really about, or are you just on somebody else because they're not honoring it? So, tend your own land.
So what you're saying is Christmas is not a requirement from God.
No, the birth of Christ is.
Okay.
but December 25th, no.
But buying presents for family and...
Hey, you know what me and my wife do, and I think this is a great idea, and this is not an original idea for me. I wish it was, because then it would make me sound really smart and deep, but it's not. Me and my wife have a rule, and this rule will be in place for our kids as well. You get 3 gifts: a big one, a medium-sized one, and a small one.
That's the same for my family.
Yeah, and it works because, 1, it keeps costs down, and 2, it lets them know that it's not just about gifts on Christmas. And if it's good enough for Jesus, well, by God, it's good enough for me and mine.
My family couldn't do that. It was more like you have the choice between a small gift or a smaller gift. But
well, you also have what 9 other brothers and sisters,
something like that. Okay, so speaking on the war on Christmas, I don't know if you guys know who this person is. You can Google him right in front of you.
Please
just for a
don't
picture.
say who I think you're about to say.
Speaking of the war on Christmas, my favorite pastor. I like him even more than Joel Osteen.
Now that's a place
is
in somebody's heart that you shouldn't put anyone else on.
Josh Feuerstein.
Who?
Josh Feuerstein.
Nope, never heard of him.
How do you spell that last name?
Feuer Stein. If you guys remember, I think it was
he's the
2 years ago.
He's
it
the
was
guy
the
that
Starbucks
does the
cup.
Starbucks thing
Yep,
about
Starbucks
hey,
cup.
yeah.
And he went to Starbucks, and
He's the guy that expects Starbucks to preach the gospel.
No, he's he is the mastermind behind the idea of let's boycott Starbucks by going in and buying Starbucks and asking and putting the name Merry Christmas on it.
Yeah, that's the guy because he went in and he made this whole video. It's back when Vine was a thing.
Yeah, it was about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And he came into Starbucks and he was all offended.
Yeah,
and
so
he was Christian triggered.
Yeah,
that they didn't have baby Jesus.
By the way,
on the cup.
does it strike anybody that he looks like the guy off of King of Queens?
Kevin
Does that
James.
strike anybody? 'Cause
Kevin James.
He does look like he looks like a Christian Kevin James. Of course, Kevin James is Christian too. So I've heard.
I feel
But
bad
he
for
did
Kevin
say
James.
the D word one time on King of Queens.
Well, that means
so
he's
then
not
I was
Christian.
like, he's lost his
That means he's not
salvation.
Christian. But he did that 2-3 years ago, and he really kickstarted a lot of that. Like at least back then, he started a lot of that Christian stuff with the idea of like the war on Christmas. I know I heard about it, and I was like, this is stupid. Even back then, I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just boycott something like, I don't know, Cookout, where they have John 3:16 written on their cup, and then right next to it says "God bless America."
Hey. Cookout is a great place.
Oh, it is.
And
It is.
don't you attack. Don't you dare attack or call into question.
Don't put it in the same
their
vein as
morals.
Starbucks.
Okay, that place is a church that sells burgers. All right.
Yep. I'll give you that.
Salvation's their number one item on that menu.
That's it. That's it.
At least write the verse.
Hold
on
the
bottom of
heresy.
cup.
Can I say that? Hold the heresy.
But he put that out, and this man is not intelligent. He had the idea of, okay, I'm going to boycott Starbucks by buying more Starbucks and telling people to buy more Starbucks. But he posted this hilarious, I thought it was hilarious, picture on Facebook, and it's this nativity scene of two dads. Like, it's two guys in the nativity scene, and so it's like Joseph and other Joseph, and they're in pink. And his post on Facebook was a picture of this, and it said, "These liberals put up a nativity scene with two dads and no Mary. This is how unscientific the liberal left is. Still trying to figure out which one of those guys gave birth. Ridiculous." And the top comment, which I laughed out loud a little bit. Are you really talking about science when the mother is supposed to be a virgin? And I'm not one to.
Hey, we're all on the same side.
I'm not
here, but
one.
He opened himself up.
I'm not one to criticize something like that. But I thought that was hilarious.
I would have deleted that photo so fast.
Yeah.
You played yourself.
That's it.
Like just edit it. But no, he's one of those guys that's like, you know what? I meant what I said. I said what I meant. I'm gonna leave it up.
Well, and his going back to the Starbucks thing, and that's first of all, I understand what he's saying with that that whole picture, whatever. It is dumb. It's a stupid thing, but be careful what you say because people can use your own words against you. That's just the whole thing. And it happens every day, and it will always continue to happen. But here's the thing: my whole thing is he went to Starbucks, and of course he puts what was it, Merry Christmas or Christ on one of the cups, and they call your name out, and they had to say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
Gotcha. Yeah. Here's the whole thing. Why do we expect businesses like Starbucks and Walmart and Lowe's and things like that? Why do we expect them to preach the gospel for us? Isn't that the church's job? Why do we expect them to? Well, they need to make sure they keep Christ and Christmas. Why? Starbucks is not a God-fearing organization. They were never built to say, hey, we're going to keep Christ in Christmas. They are there to sell you coffee. That's what they do.
Oh, in that same vein, and I know you know this person I'm talking about, Michael. That same vein, you don't really grinds my gears.
What grinds your gears?
Christians boycotting things that just bug them.
Yeah.
Like, there's this girl that I know, and she dated my brother for a while, and for like
Strike
a very
one.
small bit. Yeah, that was the first mistake. And she always would get mad at my brother when he shopped at Target.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Because
yeah.
she would boycott Target, saying how it's not a Christian company, and
of course it's not his Target.
and I was always so baffled about why I should do that, because my first thought is, okay, do you boycott Apple?
Yeah.
Do you boycott Hardee's? Do
Yeah.
you boycott Walmart? Do you boycott Coca-Cola? Do you boycott every other company ever?
I don't go
doesn't say
to
anything
Target
Christian?
for my theology. Okay, and if you're going to Target, so you feel like a better Christian, your Christian walk is about as deep as, like, I don't know, a mud puddle. Because if you're going to Target thinking, man, you know what, this place really stands for the gospel, you're an idiot. You're dumb. That's just the truth. Sorry, listeners. If you are looking to these million-dollar corporations to help secure you in your faith, you are looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, because like when you go into Target or you go into Walmart, you're gonna find stuff for like pleasures of the flesh before you ever run into a Bible.
I love how you said that. Yes. Pleasures of the flesh. That was perfect.
like I was just going through Walmart one day, and this was over Thanksgiving, and I was looking for toothpaste, and I go down this hygiene aisle, and it's this whole aisle only for like married couples, like stuff for them to use.
Sure.
And then I just go, oh well, let me go look and see if I can go find a Bible, and there is one shelf that
KJV Bibles, baby.
Oh yeah, probably King James.
Yeah, most of them were KJV. Yeah. I saw KJV and NIV, and
that makes it okay. At a
Walmart though, at a Walmart Supercenter nonetheless.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I don't go to Walmart or Target to get my theology. I go there to get my groceries and my clothes. Like that's just – and look, don't expect a corporation that is on earth to make money to honor God, because guess what? Unless you're Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A, it's just it's not there. It's not there, and we shouldn't expect places like Starbucks to preach the gospel for us. That's our job. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, because corporate businesses are going to play to your senses, not to your.
I mean,
they're there to make money. Yeah, that's what they're there for.
I can understand someone like maybe like not wanting to go to, let's say, like Starbucks. If Starbucks came out tomorrow and said, "We hate Christians.
Sure,
Christians, we don't even want your business. Go away." But like at the end of the day, if you still want a cup of coffee, you might go down to Starbucks.
I tell you where you go. You go to Dunkin' Donuts.
America runs on Dunkin'.
America runs on it.
But I've never seen I've never seen any of my friends that are gay or
wait, you have gay friends?
Yeah, I know.
You're off the program.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to let that out. But I've never seen any of them go,
Didn't mean to come out of the closet on that?
Hey, we're not going to
lashes.
I've never heard one of them go, hey, we're not going to go to Chick-fil-A because they don't support gay marriage.
Secular humanism.
If anything, I know two of my gay friends that love going to Chick-fil-A.
And you know
more
why?
Than
Because their
anything.
food is pretty good, and they invented the chicken sandwich.
I mean, they also have the market cornered on holy food.
Absolutely.
So.
I mean, they gotta bless each and every sandwich before they serve it.
That's it. I tell you, I've been to some Chick-fil-A's where I knew that didn't happen. Not all the staff are Christians, by the way. Just everybody knows.
Oh yeah. I went into Chick-fil-A a couple of years ago, and I saw an employee working there. I was like, but I know you're not a Christian.
How are you working at the Holy Chick-fil-A?
No, I'm almost positive every person that works at Chick-fil-A is Christian, because when they put on their application, they have to put "I am a Christian."
Oh yeah.
Or they have to put some holy water on them before they start working. I believe that's how it works.
You know what? Every time I go to Chick-fil-A, the sandwich is in the shape of a heart. The chicken is in the shape of a heart. So whenever it's not, I know it was made by an atheist.
That's God's love.
That's how you know.
Yeah, that's how you
That's
know.
proof.
I would like to return this sandwich. It was made by an atheist.
Yep.
I like it.
We're gonna boycott Chick-fil-A. Okay.
No, just the non-heart shaped sandwiches.
So this happened in the news this past week. A Virginia high school teacher violated school policy when he removed a student from the classroom for not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, officials say.
He removed him from the classroom?
Like physically?
Yes.
Like he got him up and told him to leave?
A high school teacher in Fairfax County, Virginia, violated Fairfax County public school policy when he forcibly yanked a sophomore student after he refused to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. School district administrators told the Washington Post the teacher will not be returning to the classroom. Shocker. The student, Eric Trammell, told the newspaper that he has not stood for the Pledge of Allegiance since 8th grade, when he had learned about the Black Lives Matter movement. This country is in a very divided place right now, and there's a lot of injustices around the U.S. I feel like me sitting can spread awareness to that, he told the newspaper.
All right.
Black Lives Matter is something I don't even want to
Yeah, that's,
want to get too far into.
yeah. I will.
I think this is more about the.
I'll get. I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you this, something we can all get behind, or at least I hope you can all get behind. You're not my friends anymore. I bought a T-shirt that instead of Black Lives Matter, it said Pitbull Lives Matter.
I've seen that. That's great.
And
That's a
I
great shirt.
owned a Pitbull, and he is the sweetest thing ever. He's the apple of my eye. And so instead of Black Lives Matter, how about all dogs? All dogs' lives matter.
Well, well, I do agree with you there. I thought this story was interesting just because, like, there's so many things that are wrong with it. Like, on combination of the teacher, forcing someone out of the classroom. I don't know what his mindset
first of
was.
all, look, my wife is a teacher, and one of the first rules of teaching is never, ever get physical with a student.
Oh, definitely not.
I mean, you're opening yourself up. Like you're gonna get what you're asking for. Like when you put your hands on a student, you have totally changed the situation to, even if you were right, now you're wrong. No matter what you were saying, as soon as you put your hands on a student, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, the only justification for me would be if they are causing you physical harm,
sure,
and no one else is coming to help you. Even then, you defend yourself.
Right.
You do not
go
on the offensive.
And I know this firsthand because my wife has some students that are violent in nature, and they have to be removed from the classroom. Now, there are certain staff members at these schools that have been trained in how to carry a kid out of a classroom.
Yeah.
So this happens on a daily basis, but 9 times out of 10, it's not the teacher themselves they're doing. Usually they call administration who has taken classes on this so they can't get sued, and they will come remove the student. If he just decided to take matters in his own hands, that's dangerous. Now, as far as this kid not kneeling, he's probably doing it because he saw it on TV. Let's just be honest. But at the end of the day, it's a free country. It's unfortunate. Yeah. It's a free, you can, it's so free. We live in such a free country. You can be stupid freely.
Yeah, I mean, why not just make everyone bless their food when they eat in the cafeteria?
Yeah,
I think it's just more of a freedom of speech thing. You can, soldiers not only died for the right for me to stand for the flag, but for me to not stand for the flag.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But there's just so many things that happen in this one story. I was like, what's going on? Like, the teacher not only forced someone out of the classroom, but the reason they forced them out, and then the kid's response, I was like, that's whatever.
Can I say this? And I may get some comments on this. That'd be great. I wish some Christians were as enthusiastic about the gospel as they were standing for the national anthem. Mic drop.
Or just in worship. Like
just church in general, just their relationship with Christ in general.
Have you guys ever seen I don't know why I equate to the same thing, but the same people who like sit during the flag are the same people I see in like church who sit during worship. Like everyone will stand to sing. There's that one person or the kid who like will sit down and like get on their phone for worship, and you're just thinking to yourself, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even worse when it's like the parents are standing
and the kids
they're actually
sit
getting
down.
into it. Yeah, the kids on an iPad. I've seen that. I went to church for like about a year and saw this same kid sitting like in the front row with his parents. His parents were standing up, singing their hearts out, praising God, and the kid was just playing games on his iPad. I was like, you need to be encouraging this kid to follow in your footsteps.
Absolutely.
And not just shut God out.
That's
during
right.
one of the most important times of the week.
And at least, even if it's not something that you hold close to your heart, which it should be if you're Christian, but even if you're non-Christian, teach your kids to have some respect of the church. You know, I'm not saying like be religious, but there's a time and place. Yeah, and it's anyway. That look, we could have a podcast on that all day, but it would just be me ranting about what grinds my gears. So what's next?
What's next is one of my favorite parts of the show. Weird church headlines of the week.
Ooh, yes.
So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go through the headlines of the past week, which have a theme in it. Jesus has been stolen a lot this past week from mangers.
Jesus thievery.
Not as funny as last week's headline. I think it's still one of my favorites. Michael, there was one last week and it said, Jesus mistakenly, or church apologizes for replacing baby Jesus with sausage roll in advent calendar.
It looked delicious. I will say
it was great.
It
was great. The kid who did the Photoshop job, deserves a raise. Okay, so getting into it. First one, tree stolen from Parkview Church days before Christmas.
Like the Christmas tree?
Christmas tree is stolen. So it's like, the one in your fellowship hall, just taken.
Did anybody see a green guy dressed as Santa
I didn't see
running
any
away from the
reports.
scene?
Because
Because it could be the work of you-know-who.
I wonder how big this tree was.
Not big enough.
to get out.
5 guys carrying a tree out.
This is a common theme. Every week, usually have the Pope on here. Pope Francis says Satan is a very smart person.
First of all, Satan is not a person. Okay, let's get that straight. Second of all, in what context?
It's very smart.
He sure was smart when he said, "Hey, I want to be greater than God," and was cast down. Yeah, he was a genius there.
Americans see more jingle, less Jesus in Christmas celebrations.
Read that again.
Americans see more jingle, less Jesus in Christmas.
More jingle, less Jesus. Now, is that just like the pomp and circumstance of
I thought
Christmas?
they just really want to make it work
or-
for the article.
Whoever made that failed English, obviously.
Yeah, I can't even get my head around that one.
Christmas without Jesus is just an empty feast, Pope Francis says.
Who feasts on feasts? Who
Like-
has feasts anymore?
I just go to the fridge and make a sandwich.
And it's an empty feast, so there's no food there. It's an empty feast.
Baby Jesus stolen from Northern Kentucky nativity scene.
Okay, what are they doing with all these baby Jesuses? And by the way, don't they know
I don't
that
really
at
wanna
that
know.
point, once they steal them, they're just dolls? Like, you were carrying a doll around at this point.
It's not baby Jesus
It's not
anymore.
baby Jesus anymore.
It's only in that context.
That's
Maybe
it.
some kid saw it and they're like, "Mommy, I want it."
But that's the doll I've always wanted.
Caseville residents. Who keeps stealing our baby Jesus figurine?
You know what people need to start doing? Run some screws through baby Jesus into the wood of the manger.
I think
That's
this.
what
I
needs to
think
happen.
that the sex church did. It says baby Jesus head, arm removed from nativity scene.
So they couldn't get the whole thing. So they wanted you. This is getting morbid and it's getting terrible. This is the work of Satan. Satan doesn't know how to use a drill, apparently.
Goat head topper stolen from San Jose Satanist group's Christmas nativity scene.
Maybe the Christians found out where the baby Jesuses were going.
Well, this is we like to call an onion. 'Cause, there's-
onion. All right.
You got goat head topper stolen from San Jose Satanist group's Christmas nativity scene.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe the Christians realize who was stealing.
They're
the
getting
baby
back
Jesus,
at
and
it.
They're what's good for the goose, baby.
God.
What's good for, I guess, the goat in this area. What's good for the goat?
Man punches Catholic bishop in mouth during mass.
Was he reenacting Santa?
Punching the agnostic.
Yeah.
Did he like come out of nowhere, or was he like sitting there the whole time? He just got up and punched him.
He was in the congregation.
He just stood up and said,
Doctor.
"Hey."
He's
let's
probably
go.
like, wait a minute. This is all wrong.
Yeah.
Pop. Okay, and last one. Pistol packing pastor.
I like
Shoots
that.
out tire of fleeing suspect.
That man's a hero.
So, suspect, what were they fleeing and had they done? Like, what was the situation?
I briefly read it. Something about the pastor witnessed a crime. Car took off. He popped out his pistol and blew out the tires as they were leaving.
All right.
It's like
Don't feel like that was his place.
he's like
but,
the James
okay.
Bond of pastors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like that. Okay, whatever.
He was probably like, I've been waiting to use this gun.
That's it. He
I've
was
been
looking
waiting to use
for. He
it.
was looking for an opportunity.
He was ready.
He was ready. Always be ready,
The
pastors.
Lord had him ready. Okay, so this is your favorite time of the week.
Yes.
Usually,
Yes.
I guess I showed you the video beforehand. Usually, our heretic of the week is just something strictly theological,
Yeah.
or like just so against the Bible that like you want to cringe. This week, a little lighter take on it.
Cool.
It's
Because we always
technically-
take it so seriously.
it's heresy, but it's not the kind of heresy we usually deal with.
I don't know if it's heresy because
It goes against the Bible. It goes against the Bible.
I don't know if it's heresy, but I will say it is stupid. It is dumb. It is dumb.
So I'm gonna play the video and then we'll comment on the video.
There was a young man in Calvary. His name was Ben. And I was running a youth group. I was there for a few years. And he was a nice kid, but he was one of those kids that was always he's a real smart aleck. Was a bright kid, which didn't help things, right? Made him more dangerous. And we were outside one day at youth group, and he was just trying to push my buttons, and he was just, kind of not taking the Lord serious. And I walked over to him, and I went, bam! I punched him in the chest as hard as I crumpled the kid.
I feel like doing
I
that
just crumpled.
sometimes.
And I leaned over and I said, Ben, when are you going to stop playing games with God? I led that man to the Lord right there. There's times that might be needed.
I'll let you take this.
Yeah, first of all, being a youth minister myself, if I ever laid hands on a kid in this way, my office would be packed for me. If I hadn't had a cop car sitting outside waiting for me to start with.
I will say I admire
Look,
the
this guy is
I
a
admire his
take,
passion.
Yeah.
This guy's a take action first. Ask
questions later.
That's right. This guy, I tell you, he did something that I've thought about.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I've wanted to give the people's elbow to a few students. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this guy describes a scene to where they're outside, they're having a good time, and this kid's just maybe goofing off, maybe he's on his phone, maybe he's not listening. He walks over there, punches the kid in the chest with no reservation, just does it, and says, "We need to stop playing games with God." And you know what? Then he adds the cherry on top. I led that man to the Lord right there. Which I take it as this dude's still on the ground, writhing in pain. He cries out to God, and that's when his salvation comes.
I have a couple questions. One, I think the only way I can see him getting away with this is maybe the kid was like didn't have any parents, or I can't wrap my head around any
Maybe he like acts out in school. His parents are probably just like, he deserved it.
Because see, my parents would be like, yeah, hit him again. Like that's my parents. If my parents heard that,
Well, if it were you, yes.
yeah, if my parents heard that my youth pastor punched me, they'd be like, good, he deserved it. But most parents I know now, if you even tell their kid that they're not acting Christ-like, then you get usually like a good talking to from the deacon board. So the fact that he was able to sock this kid, and I'm quoting him, crumple him.
Crumple. What does that even mean? Did this guy fold up like
I'm thinking
a piece
like
of
an
paper?
accordion.
Yeah.
Like he crumpled.
And you're bragging about how viciously you punched a kid. This is a grown man who punched a student, and you're like, man, I'm going to brag about this. I crumpled the kid. Of course you did. He's a kid. Like, well, that's like bragging about, like, oh, I dunked on a 5-year-old on a 6-foot goal. Like, come on, dude.
Like he just said youth group, so we're assuming under 18.
Yeah.
So even if he's a 17-year-old,
This
that's
kid
still
could have
young.
been like a freshman in high school. We don't know. I would like to know.
I want to see.
would.
I want to see the video. I wish there was a
Yeah.
video of that.
How long ago did he say he did it?
I mean, he doesn't give a timeline.
No. This is
Because like I would just like think, oh, what if this was like years and years ago, and he was still like like fresh.
There's some kid sitting in that congregation
Like,
who's
did
like, I'm waiting for it to buy my
Or did this
payback.
just? Or is there some kid that like had this done to him like the hour before when they were in Sunday school class? Like, did this just happen? Maybe that's why he still has his job.
I'd love to see him like getting out of his car one Wednesday night, or like he's packing up, he's going outside, he's locked up the church, he's walking to his car, it's dark, and there's no one else there, and he notices a car that's parked in the back. He's like, well, I don't know whose car that is, and he goes to unlock his the door to his car, and then he hears some footsteps behind him, and he goes, Pastor, do you remember me? And he goes, who are you? You crumpled me.
Yeah, I'm the crumpled kid.
I'm here to crumple back.
That's it. Look, I bet this kid's somewhere out there at a Planet Fitness just pumping some iron. This guy's getting ready, and this pastor better be ready because you know what? This pastor better not be playing games with God. That's all I got to say.
I mean that's the biggest concern
That's
here.
the biggest concern.
This pastor's name is Eric. I don't want to butcher his name.
Yeah,
Eric.
he might crumple you.
Feurenstein? Is that what it was?
Damon.
Damn it, no.
Damon.
I'm thinking of the different guy.
Dammann. Yeah, it was just an interesting name I saw.
It is interesting. Very interesting.
Damon, maybe? I don't know.
Who knows?
I couldn't find a pronunciation. I butcher people's names, but yeah. So I would love to see him I would love to see him speak though,
Yeah,
Like, just
yeah.
see if he's got any more kid punching stories.
Look, and I believe he took this means of leading somebody to the Lord directly from the scripture in John chapter 6, where it talks about how Jesus, when he called the disciples, he actually punched one of them in the chest, and they followed him. They dropped everything and followed him. Like, I feel like that's where he got it from.
That was Jesus, though.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
different story.
That's not even in the Bible. That's the whole thing. Is like, when do you see Jesus assaulting people? He flipped some tables now, but I've never seen Jesus punch somebody in the chest and say, "Hey, you've just seen the light. When you look upon me, you look upon my Father."
Someone commented on the video and said, "Can we get a reenactment of this with Will
Please.
Ferrell playing him?"
Oh,
Wouldn't that
would
be
awesome.
perfect?
That would be great.
You're playing games with God. Oh man, I would love to see that.
Heretic? Maybe not.
I don't. It could,
Smart
technically,
pastor of the
it
year?
fills
Definitely
it,
not.
It fills in the definition for heretic. Something goes against the Bible, because I don't remember Jesus going up to someone being like, socking them and going, "John, when are you gonna stop playing games with God?"
Yeah.
And then Jesus crumpled him.
He crumpled.
So
Jesus, no. In the King James version, it's crumpleth. He crumpled.
and thy crumpled.
And thy crumpleth.
All right, so that's all I got for this week. I want to thank Michael for coming on and
Definitely.
Thanks
and
for having me.
being a
Yeah,
guest.
Come back anytime, man. You are welcome anytime.
All of our contact is in the description, our email, Twitter. That's all there. If you didn't like our video, please comment and let us know. Anything else you want to hit?
Actually, there is actually something I wanted to hit really quick. I wanted you to pick 2 things that you felt like you did well in your ministry this year, and 2 things you would like to see change in the new year.
Oh, that's next week.
Is that next week?
Next week is our. I'm gonna try to get. We're gonna do a best of 2017.
Oh, I love it. Okay,
Yep.
well,
We're
we'll
gonna save it for next week.
So I'll give
Because
you time to
I
think about
got
it.
my favorite headlines. I'm gonna do all my favorite headlines from this last year.
Awesome. See, you're ahead of the game. All right.
All right.
Good. Well, we're going to sign off here. Thanks for listening, you guys. As always, keep up with the Reformed theology and stay beautiful.